So at the bottom of the oil pickup there is a filter screen and a rubber guide that holds it into place, and it just slips on and off. Now it's time to clean this out, and yeah, and then on the underside we only use our fingernail to remove this stuff because it's on a fine. Alright, so after cleaning off most of the previous sealant with this plastic scraper, not using anything metal, it takes longer but it's a lot safer. I'm going to run a thread through all of these holes to clean them out, clear it up, and yeah, assemble. Just a little test fit for the upper oil pan, and she fits nicely. Now to take it off and apply the sealant. Alright, now that I've cleaned off the mating surface of the block quite nicely, it's time to make sure the threads are nice and clear before I put on the sealant and reassemble. Alright, so I got the sealant in, and yeah, as you can see I used a bit of a chain link sort of approach. And let's see, I think I'm going to make a few of them a little bit wider and add just a tiny bit more on each link. See how we go. Alright, so here's the upper oil pan. I'm just going to wipe down the surfaces to make sure all is good at the last minute before I flip it and attach it to where it's supposed to go, just on the side of the, well, on the underside of the engine block. Alright, now that I've got the mating surfaces, like this one and this one, for the oil pan to go together, time to really clean out the inside of the oil pan, lay the sealant and finger tight, and then wait some time and then torque it up properly. Alright, let's make it happen. Alright, so here we are, cleaned up the oil pan. As you can see, this oil pan has been repaired before, not by me, by a previous owner I guess. And so that way this one doesn't sit perfectly. So I've tried using the proper gasket before, but it doesn't work. So now I'm going to use the sealant, so that way it will conform between the two surfaces and it'll create a nice seal. Alright, let's go for it. Alright, here we go. Time to lay the pan down and finger tight. So I've got the oil pans on, and the alternator is pretty much done up, just not adjusted for the tension because I need to put the front fan on as it shares the same belt. So yeah, let's get on with it. Now that I've put this guy in place, I can now tighten the fan as the belt is in the right spot going around, and it is adjusted by this one here. So I'm not sure if you can tell, but the belt is getting ever so slightly more tensioned. An old trick is to put the bottom bolt in, and that way you can sit the fan on these engines ever so nicely, and then you can get the other ones in. Alright, checking all the bolts are good, gasket's good, mating surfaces are really clean, so time to put on the oil filter housing. Alright, so when you're working on your oil filter housing and you're reconnecting it, first thing is you put these two back on first, these two compression fittings here. Don't do them all the way up, just get them started. And then the next one you do is this one here, just get it started ever so slightly, and just get started every single one on the that bolts it to the block, and then tighten them down in best X pattern you can. And then you tighten down these guys here with a very large spanner. And then, yeah, don't forget this guy on the back here with the copper rings, or should I say washers, the copper washers on either side here. And make sure you use the proper bolt that came out of it so oil can flow through, the banjo bolt. This guy here is the connection for the oil pressure gauge into the dashboard, so we leave that open for now and we'll connect it when the engine goes back into the vehicle. Alright, so here we have the R4 compressor where I've changed the O-rings from the original black ones to the nice new green ones and mounted it in place. To do that I've put in new bolts, as I couldn't find the bag where I put the originals, but this worked out actually a lot more easier. So yeah, now that I've got the alternator on, power steering on, and the air conditioning compressor on, it's time to turn the engine back upright, put the oil filter housing on, do a valve adjustment, put the front fan on, and then when I do that, I can do the injectors and yeah, put the engine back in the car. Alright, so here we have my engine and we are about to do a valve adjustment. Now the intakes are, not sure if you can see that too well, 0.1 millimeters, and the exhaust is 0.35. Now if you don't know what order it is and you haven't got a cheat sheet or anything, the easiest way to tell is by looking here. So you can see this is the exhaust manifold with the cast iron, so that matches up to the closest one, which is this one here. So this one should be 0.35 gap. This next one lines up with here, which is from the intake manifold, that's with the turbocharger, so it should be 0.1. And then this one, looking down into the crevice there, see it's silver, so it is 0.1. We go along a little further and see the color change to more of a reddish color. That is the brownish cast iron exhaust. So it goes to this one here, and the next one as well. If you look under there, I'm sorry the light's not that great. So yeah, you just follow along and see where you've got silver, and down there where you've got the exhaust. And let's have a look on the other side, and let's see if we can tell a little easier. So you can tell a lot easier if you look from this side and then go up looking there. So the one on the right is the exhaust, the one on the left is the intake. For this little tower here, right is the exhaust, this the intake. And to turn it around so you can do the measurement, 27mm socket on that big guy in there. And to do this, I like to have the injectors out and the glow plugs out, so that way it's a lot easier to turn around. Always turn it clockwise as I'm standing at the engine now, so you turn it this way, but do it on the bottom one there. So you turn it this way. Never ever go backwards. So same way as you see the hands of a clock move around. Alright, I hope that's helpful. Enjoy. One thing I did forget to mention is the positioning. So when you turn the engine, you want each of the lobes here on the shaft to face straight up, and that's where you want to take your measurement. You kind of look at it as it's in line with this dot here on each of the towers. So yeah, that one's pointing straight up, and this one is the intake. I have the 0.1mm ready, and all I'm doing it is putting it underneath into this area here. It fits with only the tiniest little bit of friction, and that's what you want. So you want to be able to feel a little bit of drag on it, but you need to be able to pull it in and out. So that's it, and now I need to do that for every valve, every intake and exhaust. This is a 5-cylinder om617 diesel engine from Mercedes, and so yeah, I need to do this 10 times because there is 2 valves per cylinder, 1 intake and 1 exhaust for each. Alright, hopefully that's been helpful. Cheers guys. Alright, if you do something silly like I did and used a bit of paper towel to clean out things down the bottom there, well, and you get a little bit stuck in, that won't come out with tweezers or anything like that. So grab your air compressor, little tube in there. This guy here, very similar to the way I clean the the sunroof drain ports. So yep, So yeah, you just need to hold it while you do it, and it blows everything out, any dust, crud, build up that's loose in there. And if you want, before you blow it out, get a little tool that's not too sharp, but you can scrape the downsides of the chamber in there. So yeah, you're not marking anything, you're just loosening up any crud. So just be gentle, and yeah, do it to all of them, and a whole bit of crud will fly up out of there. This is handy for when, like me, you've taken all the rings off and all that kind of stuff, but the pre-chambers are so stuck in there, you feel like you're going to crack the block if you, you know, try and take them out any harder. So this is the next best thing I could think of. Alright guys, I hope that's been helpful. Enjoy! To continue my valve adjustment guide, since the engine is actually out of the engine bay, it's a little easier to see different things on video. So yeah, as you see, I've got a breaker bar connected with a 27mm socket to the crankshaft pulley. So I am grabbing it from here and pulling it up so it is clockwise. This is the way to do the engine. And the next lobe to go up into position is that one there, and it is almost at position now, so we don't need to pull very far. So we're going to stop when it lines up. I'm sorry if it's not in focus too well. Alright, so we've got that in focus, and that one is an exhaust. So with our little guide thing here, what we're going to do is grab the 0.35, because it's the turbo engine. If it was the naturally aspirated, it would be 0.3. So bear with me a minute. Alright. Here we have 0.35. Now to just put it underneath there. And it's going in. That's alright. Quite nicely. So this one doesn't need adjustment. Alright, so that's 2 down. 8 more to go. I hope that's been helpful. Now I'm just going to finish the rest myself. And any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. And yeah, I'll be happy to answer them. Cheers. Bye. Alright, so we got the engine hooked up to our little crane. It's sinking into the dirt. It just weighs that much. So we've got the giant cable. Alright, as you can see, we've moved it and it left quite the trail behind. It wasn't easy. We got it into place inside the engine bay. It was quite the effort playing leapfrog, and got it in. We're just now lining it up to put it on the mounts.